This guy starts working in the publicity department of a huge company, and, to help him get used to his new job, he is assigned a senpai to assist him. The person in charge of this is a hot blonde who is considered mean and hard to talk to, but she is actually an awkward, shy girl who has problems communicating with other people, and the proximity with her new kouhai will bring up feelings that she never thought she would have. Azusa Kanawa is an accomplished publicist who recently got an advertising award from one of her posters. She gets to work like every day, but when she tries to get into the building, she realizes that the key card she brought was actually a plumber's business card. This is the first sign that this girl is not actually all there. When she manages to get inside and sits on her desk to start the day, a colleague approaches her to say that they're not going to be able to hire the influencer they booked, and asks her what they should do. Kanawa looks at her with a mad expression and says that it's her job to prepare a proposal before asking her questions. But then she proceeds to tell her to use her resources to find a stand-in. She handles documents to another colleague saying that she had corrected them and scolds him for leaving his desk all messy. When her boss calls her, she hears her colleagues talking about her. They think she's cool but scary, and even though she is always right, she could say things in a friendlier manner. The boss tells her that a newbie is starting his job there today, and he puts her in charge of training him. He was the top scorer in the exam, and since Kanawa is the ace of the publishing team, she would be perfect for getting him into shape. She accepts the request, but her internal persona is completely freaking out. Her only job will be training her new kouhai, but her communication skills are bad. She is not good with people, and her colleagues even stopped inviting her out for drinks. But her boss doesn't realize any of that. While she is still freaking out, the newbie arrives. His name is Yu Kamagawa, and Kanawa immediately notices that he is a good kid with a friendly charm, and she is going to have to do her best when training him. Kanawa proceeds to show Kamagawa around the company. They started out developing video games, but now they've expanded into books, apparel, real estate, and more, which means there are more projects for the publicist to handle, and she tells him he can go to her if he needs help with anything. She shows him around everywhere with an angry expression and talking loudly and fast, as if she wanted that to end as soon as possible, and Kamagawa asks her for the tour. When they get back to their desks and Kanawa is satisfied with the way she handled that, Kamagawa asks her what he is supposed to do, and she realizes that she hadn't actually taught him how to do his job. She says she has a meeting with a client and invites him to shadow her and observe. But first, he needs to practice exchanging business cards. When she opens her cards case, her awkward side decides to show up and she drops everything. Luckily, Kamagawa did not see how red her face was. She introduces Kamagawa to their clients and notices how easy it was for him to greet them and hand them his business card, while she, his mentor, exchanged her cards with the floor. While giving her presentation, she tries to keep her dignity and composure, but Kamagawa is staring at her with such attention that she starts getting nervous and anxious. She manages to finish the meeting, but she is exhausted from the burden of being a mentor. It's almost time for lunch, and Kanawa wonders if she, as a senpai, should invite Kamagawa to eat. But then she starts spiraling, wondering if inviting a kouhai to lunch could be seen as harassment. However, not inviting him could send a message that she does not want to get friendly with him. She has trouble with daily conversations, so she is not sure what to do next. She says she has another meeting, telling him to have lunch in the meantime, and runs out of there as fast as she can. At the end of the day, Kamagawa says goodbye and thanks her for showing him around, saying that he did not do so well because he was really nervous with his first day of work. Kanawa says that no one is perfect on their first day and tells him he can rely on her going forward. He thanks her again and leaves the building. While Kanawa herself is leaving, she realizes that she spent the whole day worrying about herself and she needs to step up in order to be a good senpai to Kamagawa, and she wants to start by being more frank with him. The next day, Kamagawa is chatting with his other co-workers when Kanawa gets in, coldly telling them to move away. She is so out of it that she thinks this morning's scold was actually a proper greeting. She still has a lot to learn. Today, she tells Kamagawa to work on a proposal for a new manga app, and she gives him samples of her past proposals as a reference. She stands behind him with her arms crossed and a fierce look in her eyes, because today is going to be the day she invites him to lunch. When it's almost noon, Kanawa tells Kamagawa he can fix his proposal after lunch. But when she is ready to invite him, he was already long gone. He comes back with a cup ramen, and Kanawa scolds him for not minding his health, and he explains that he is on a budget, which makes her worry about him even more. While she is having lunch and worrying about her work relationship with Kamagawa, Kanawa remembers when she used to have lunch with her own senpai, who was always telling her that she was doing the best she could. Being straightforward was her strong suit, and everyone would realize that eventually. Afterwards, she receives a call from one of her colleagues, who asks if there's something on her mind, since she seemed worried during the call. She tells him about Kamigawa, and he says she should communicate with him more, since okay and yeah are not proper conversations. He also suggests she should read some self-improvement books regarding work as a manager and mentor. But Kanawa says that there is no need for that, since other people's success stories won't necessarily be helpful in her case. However, as Kanawa is leaving work, she goes to a bookstore and buys a shitton of self-improvement books. I guess she was just trying to impress her co-worker after all. And despite scolding Kanagawa for eating cup ramen and not taking care of his health, she had to do the same, since she forgot to buy dinner on her way home. At least she has some veggies to go with it. She starts with a book on communication in the workplace, and quickly realizes that her behavior earlier was not okay at all. She picks up a mirror and practices her smile, but she is clearly not good at it. She learns that formal and strict communication with coworkers is not necessary anymore, and she should talk to them in a friendly and easygoing way. But she is not sure that her communication skills are good enough for that, and she is not even able to invite them out for lunch or drinks, so she is clueless on what to do. And to make things worse, her noodles were overdone, and she broke her chopsticks. Kanawa was so focused on learning how to be a good mentor that she ended up sleeping on her desk and woke up late for work, so she had to hurry to get ready to leave. Even though she did everything in a flash, she was still looking as hot as ever when she got to work. She tries to greet Kanagawa in a friendlier way, but at the same time, she hears other coworkers bad-mouthing her, saying she is scary and always looking angry, and she was more strict than necessary, only getting away with it because she is good at her job. She drops her stuff, and Kanagawa sees her notes on communicating better with him. When he hands her her things, she was looking as red as a tomato. Then, Kanagawa decides to stand up for her. He goes to the other coworkers and says he is glad that Kanawa was his senpai, because he got to know her kind side. However, even after Kanagawa stood up for her, she still wasn't able to thank him properly and invite him for lunch.